All right, guys, what's up? Dean Perone. I am back again with a second episode here of Fast Five with Dean. And second guest up is IFBB Pro, retired IFBB Pro, Jeff Long. If you guys do not follow Jeff, follow him on Instagram. He is the owner of Leica Pro Supps. He's had that company for about 5 years now. Active pro bodybuilder for 7 years before he retired, and been training forever, I guess, which we can get into. So for you guys that aren't familiar with what I'm doing here, I'm just doing a short video series. What I do is I make a post on Instagram, take questions basically from fans or followers of the people I'm going to be bringing on. I'll pick 5 good questions, and then I'm just keeping these videos fairly short because I know everybody's busy. Everybody has stuff to do, and I'm just taking 5 questions for the guests. So again, first and foremost, Jeff, thanks for taking the time to jump on here with me. How's everything? Yeah, it looks nice up there. I mean, you got a hoodie on, but how's the weather?
Well, I was working out, so I was training, but it's like 75 degrees.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
It was cold. We went up, obviously I'm down here, and it was, when I left here Sunday to go to Pittsburgh, it was like 90, it was like 90 and sunny. And when I went to Pittsburgh on Sunday, I think it was 41 and it was pouring.
Yeah, chilly over the weekend, and we had some rain. But now, like this entire week, next week, I think the weather is finally broke. Now it's going to be nice out and warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But next week I'll be down in Florida.
Oh, you are coming? Yeah. I'll get with you. I'll get with you later about that. So I'll try to hook up with you for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll jump right into these. We'll go through these questions. First question is from Red Hulk Juice, which is Drew Kaminsky, which I think you're familiar with. His question was kind of a two-parter. He said, how is it being friends with a bikini model like Dean Perone? But his real question is, what do you see as your biggest win in life, I guess, so far? Not in bodybuilding, just overall. Like, what's your biggest achievement, or what are you most happy about? What do you think is your biggest win?
I've been bodybuilding since I was 10, not competing, but lifting weights since I was 10, and having the aspirations of being a pro bodybuilder and, all that stuff that comes along with it, being in the magazines, traveling the world, and being on stage with the best. But, taking bodybuilding out of that, even though it's a huge part of my life, I think for me, growing up, my parents, my dad, had his own business, he had his shares of struggles, lost our home, so there was a lot of rough times growing up. And I think for me, that's where I got the mindset of, no matter what I do, I'm going to be successful at it, whether it is bodybuilding, whether it is having my own business, regardless what that business is, whatever I do, I'm going to be successful at it, because I don't want to have those struggles, especially with, having, being a father of my own now, and having them see me go through that struggle, So I think to answer that question, is being a father now, having my own business, successful business, and able to, inspire other people, to see where I came from, with my struggles. There was a point in time where not a lot of people know this, but I figured, I guess I'll say it out on this thing, is that, there was a point when I was in my early 20s that, I spent some nights in my car.
Yeah.
I have a house to go to. My parents moved out of state, to try to start over once, when they lost their house and, all that stuff. And, I stayed back in Jersey and was living in my car for a while. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people know that, and going through that, people just see the shit they see on the internet. It's like, oh man, Jeff has a nice house. He has nice cars, and it's like, you have to see where I came from. I just didn't wake up one morning and have what I have now.
Yeah.
And, so for me, winning is being able to, put food on the table for my kids, take my kids on vacation without worrying about, being able to pay for a bill when I get back. and being able to give my kids the best, life that I can possibly give them, things that I didn't have growing up, I'm able to do for my kids. And you know what's crazy too? Thinking about that, I never wanted kids. I was the athlete. I was the athlete. I want to travel. I don't want kids. I want no responsibilities with kids. And when I had my firstborn, which was Jackson, 5 years ago, the mindset just changed for me. And, it just gave me even more motivation to hustle even more, to be even more successful than I always chose, to be. I always want to be successful, but having my firstborn and then now 2 kids, it just basically put that hustle in overdrive.
Yeah. Well, and I have 4. So yeah, I mean, you become all of a sudden, you're not the most important person, obviously, like in your life, it's them. And then on top of that, like you said, it's all that motivation to be able to provide for them and give them stuff that maybe you didn't have and stuff like that. I know how that feels. So yeah, and I know, today, I mean, obviously we're good friends and talk, but it's like a lot of, going back to what you said about people don't see or don't know about the struggles that maybe you went through. People just, especially on the internet, obviously, because we put stuff out there, but I think that's the problem with most people is they just see what people, not just you, but what people have now. And that's where you get the people that are like, oh, it must be nice. Like, I hate when people say that because they have,
I want to punch people in the mouth when I hear that.
Yeah, I've talked to other, just anybody that's kind of successful, and it seems like everybody hates that because you hear that like, oh, it must be nice, and it's like, dude, you have no idea what I've gone through or what I've done or the work I've done or time I put in order to have like the things I have now. So I think that's kind of a funny thing too.
So I mean, it is nice to do what I do. It is nice to drive a nice car. It is nice to have a big house, a brand new house.
Mm-hmm.
It's like those things, but I literally work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
It's not like, for me, I think, speaking, I guess maybe part of that question a little bit, but is the fact that I'm the owner of Like a Pro Supplements. I'm the CEO. I'm at the warehouse every single day, even on the weekends. I'm here on the weekends. My wife helps me on the weekends, but 90% of the time, I'm doing all the packing. I do a lot of the marketing. Yes, I have a marketing team, but I'm also doing a lot of marketing on my own, on my end, and I'm formulating, so I'm doing like 10 jobs at once. It's crazy. And, it's hard, it gets hard. And at the same time, running and building a company, especially from nothing, having 2 kids at home that I have to prioritize while running a company, it's not easy, plus going to the gym, plus time with my wife, it's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
I've learned over the years, even when I was growing up, to manage things, and being able to balance everything that I do, no matter how many things I have on my plate. I just take a deep breath and then I just do it. I don't think about, oh man, I'm so stressed out, or man, this is hard, I'm so tired. I just do it because I need to do it. It just has to be done. If nobody does it, then it's not going to get done. The only way it gets done is if I do it.
Yeah. And another thing, well, it's cool too, because I've known you for a few years now, and I've seen how you've grown that business from just some of the products you've had to all the products you have now, all the different flavors and stuff like that, which is a really cool thing. I love seeing anybody that scales a business, obviously, and you're doing an awesome job at that. And another thing I love is, again, just knowing you. I know you have the boys at the warehouse a lot too, and they're, and to me that's awesome because they see how hard you're working and what you're doing each and every day. So again, it's something that you're leading by example. So these kids are going to know as they get older too how hard their dad works and what it takes to be successful, which I think is one of the biggest problems in America, period, right now, that, a lot of kids get shit handed to them, or they don't want to, nobody wants to work, apparently, I guess. So,
yeah, especially now, nobody wants to work. And
yeah, so
they do work. I mean, they really don't want to do any of the hard work. They just want to play on their phones. And, and that's the thing, having 2 boys, is that I had them at the warehouse, you know, as much as I can. I mean, Jackson's in school right now, and Jacob's with my mom. You know, she's like my full-time, you know, nanny. But you know, on the weekends for sure, or in the evenings or on the weekends, it's like the kids are with me. They're at the warehouse, you know, and most of the time, yeah, they're riding their bikes and, you know, they're goofing off playing. But at the same time, it's like I'll have them, go grab me some boxes or go grab me a new roll of tape, you know, just so they're in this atmosphere of, you know, helping out. And it's like when they're done, it's like, all right, you want to go to the store? Let's go to Target. You know, since Target's their favorite store. You know, let's go to Target and pick out a toy, pick out anything you want. You know, so they help me, they get rewarded, you know, not just, oh, buy me this and here you go. And you know, I think that coddle syndrome that's huge, especially right now, is what I don't want for my kids. You know, I want my kids to, you know what it's like to, you know, earn something. And I think molding that into their brains, especially now at 2 and 5. I mean, Jackson's different. Jackson's 5, but he's been helping with the stuff since like he was basically 2, you know, 2 or 3 years old, you know, and just mold that into their brains that this is what you do. This is how you have what we had. This is how daddy has the house, the car, how you're playing baseball. It's how daddy pays for baseball and all this stuff. So they know when they get older, you know, all right, if I want all this stuff or more stuff, you know, they want a private jet, you know, they have to work for it. Nobody's going to hand them anything in this life.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. That was like my whole point of that statement. It's like they're watching you and you're leading by example to teach them what they can do to be successful and earn something. That was a good point. So cool. Next one is from Joey B _ 1979, which is Joey Brooks. He asked, who has been, I guess, some of your favorite people that you've been able to work out with, being in you know, being a pro bodybuilder and having that opportunity that you would have, I guess, to work out with other big pros or whoever. So if you want to touch on that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, okay, to answer that question, I mean, yes, I'm a pro. I've been around this game for a very long time. And to be honest, I haven't really worked out with that many pros, as many would think. I mean, you know, I worked out, you know, I did a video with Juan Morel, which was awesome. You know, I trained with Nick Walker. You know, when I was training him, we trained literally every day for 3 years together. And, you know, a couple other good friends of mine, we trained. But as far as bodybuilder wise, other pros that I would say, oh man, I love training with them. I wish I could train with them every day. I mean, there really isn't anybody. You know, yeah, I enjoyed training with, you know, Juan when I did for the video. I trained with Seth back in 2010 during a muscular development training seminar, and Nick and a couple of my good friends. But other than that, I mean, there wasn't anybody else. You know, I like training by myself, you know, and if I had to pick someone that I truly love and that I miss training with, it would be my father, you know, it would be my dad, you know, because he's the one who started me in bodybuilding when I was 10. You know, all heard of the movie Pump and Iron, and I watched it when I was 10 with my dad. And my exact words to my dad were, I want to look like that. I want to look like those guys with, you know, I want to look like the Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh, and literally the next day I started working out. You know, my dad always worked out. He wasn't a bodybuilder. He just, you know, just a huge fan, read all the old, you know, muscle and fitness magazines. So just a huge fan. And it just kind of just went on to me. I saw Pump and Iron, fell in love with bodybuilding, and I wanted to look like those guys, be in the magazines, travel the world, you know, all that good stuff. And, you know, my dad trained me for my first, you know, 6 or 7 shows. Okay. You know, and even after, like, even when I went into nationals, you know, my dad would still get in, you know, at least 1 or 2 days a week in the gym with me just to, you know, kick the shit out of me.
Yeah, that was going to be my question that I had myself, because I know your backstory a little bit, and I know you used to train with him and he started you and all that. But that was as you were just talking, that's what I was going to ask you is, like, how long did your dad kind of train you or train with you up to, like, kind of what point?
About 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, even though when I was 20, when I turned 20, I was like 21 and a half years old when I met my first, you know, I guess you could say my real coach, which knows John O'Regan. You know, that's when I switched over from being a natural bodybuilder and started, you know, using, you know, steroids. And so, he became my, my trainer per se, but my dad was the one in the gym with me every day, training me and pushing me through the workouts. And one thing with my dad, it's like, he's very old school. He was never big on cardio. He always believed in crazy intensity with training. He goes, we don't need cardio. I'm just going to beat the shit out of you, on this machine.
What about diet? Was he strict with nutrition and diet and all that as well?
My dad wasn't, when my dad would be done working out, he would have a steak sandwich. I mean, so I kind of learned the whole nutrition thing as time went on. Myself. But when I did my shows with my dad, it was just like, he was just known for, well, those guys, Arnold, Frank Zane, they basically just didn't eat any carbs. They ate a lot of flank steak and eggs, in contest time. So that's basically what we did for my first 5 or 6 shows.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, clearly it didn't, hinder me or anything. I got my name known, when I stepped on stage drug-free at 200 pounds, because that's kind of unheard of, being drug-free at 5'6", 200 pounds, but I would say, yeah, my dad is the one who got me started. And it's probably the person that I missed in the gym training with me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Now, if I can go back in time to an era and train with bodybuilders, all long, it would be in the 70s and 80s. Tom Platz, Arnold, Franco Colombo. I mean, all those guys. Yeah,
you and Platz would be a good leg day, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one person I would have loved, even now, is to have the opportunity to train legs with Platz. Mm-hmm. I met him 2 years ago at the Olympia. Got a picture with him, but he was so busy. He's trying to lead the expo, so I didn't want to bother him and ask him questions. But I got a picture with him, which was super cool. But he's definitely a person I would have loved to train legs with. Yeah,
does he live in Pittsburgh or up there somewhere? I think, because I've me going up there all the time. I thought some of the guys up there said he even, like, one of the gyms he works out up there, it's either like Legends or something like it.
I thought he lived in like California, but
he may.
But there is, I know the gym you're referring to, and I've heard people say, "Oh, I was working out today, and I saw Tom Platz in there." Yeah, so maybe he lives in Pittsburgh somewhere.
Yeah, I'll just find that out. Yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah, I mean, for you guys that are watching and listening and aren't familiar with Jeff, go to his Instagram. Like I said, he's still got legs today that are probably better than half the current pros right now. And calves are a completely different story.
They're implant.
The calves are actually better than all the pros. So, got to ask one of these questions, of course, because this was probably, as you saw some of the questions, we probably had 10 of these. Favorite cheat meal. The people that follow both of us know we like to kind of go hard with the cheat meals, the cookies, the pizzas. So of course, I just grabbed one that is like, what's your favorite cheat meal? This is from Adam C. Clark. He said, what's your favorite cheat meal? And like and then he just said he's looking forward to this video. So yeah, what would be, I guess, your favorite or ultimate, which I think I know what it is because you do it kind of the same one a lot. So, but go ahead.
Cheat meal wise, I mean, everyone knows, if they follow me, I love granola. So granola, I don't really consider granola a cheat meal. That's almost like I eat that all the time. Cheat meal wise, I mean, I can't say I have a favorite. I mean, I might have a top 3. I mean, like a combo of 3.
Yeah.
I mean, homemade meatballs by my wife, absolutely insane.
You won't give me the recipe.
I'm not giving the recipe. Pizza, I'm big on pizza. Yeah. I'm always texting you pictures. And sushi.
Yeah, you eat a ridiculous amount of sushi too.
Yeah, sushi, pizza, and homemade meatballs or meatloaf. I mean, with the pasta and the garlic bread and all that stuff. Burgers are good, but I like the other 3 way better. So those are definitely my top 3, which is why every weekend you either see pictures of sushi, pizza, or meatballs.
And a lot of times, I mean, I know just from knowing you, and again, they can watch on your Instagram. A lot of times you'll do 2 pizzas and a burger and something. You know, I mean, you'll actually sometimes throw the burger in with the pizza.
Yep. Sometimes. Yep. And lately, because I found a new, I've been getting, you know, the 2 pizzas, which you've seen. Do like it's like a meatball parm sandwich. So I'll eat that with the garlic knots.
Yeah.
Shit, like insane.
I think
once cheat meal's down, I give myself about 45 minutes, digest a little bit, hit the bathroom after all that food, and then break out cookies.
Yeah. I think was it didn't you send me pictures in 2019 when I did that last show? And I think I sent you pictures of like the trophies, and I think I said I just won the overall, and you literally texted me back. The first text back was, I think you sent me pizzas like while I was at the show. I think. Thanks. Yeah, so people that follow myself and Jeff, stay tuned for good cheat meals from that.
Something this weekend.
Oh yeah. I have next question is Smack Rowell. He asked, what is one thing that you do actually miss about actively competing? If you had to choose one thing. I know you're happy where you're at, obviously, but if you had to pick one thing that you kind of miss or whatever, what would it be?
Man, I mean, competing's not easy. I mean, going through 12 to 16 weeks of calorie deficit, you know, no cheat meals, double session cardio. It could be fun, but you know, it's kind of rough. But I would say most that I miss is probably the entire process of transforming my body from, you know, being full off season and then, you know, being down to, you know, the showtime, you know, a couple of days out, sprayed, getting dehydrated, and just seeing the improvements I made, you know, in that 3 to 4 month span, you know, from off season to, you know, competing, and then being on stage and presenting my physique,
you
know, to the best of my ability. You know, even though I never got the placings I felt that were, you know, my placings I feel weren't justified. I mean, felt like a lot of my shows I could have placed, you know, much, much better. And that's just not me not being on, but there was a lot of shows where it's like, really, like, did you guys even see me on stage?
Yeah.
You know, I think that also played a role when I stepped away. You know, in 2016, when I did step on stage, you know, that was Baltimore Pro, and they did the Tampa Pro that year. You know, that was the biggest I've ever been on stage. I was like 240, like the night before the show. I mean, the morning before the show. So it was definitely the biggest I've ever been. I was, you know, ripped, and it was just like, you get the first call out, you know, you're rolling around at top 3, you know, guys being compared, and then you're taking off stage thinking, damn, you know, I'm going to be in the top 3, maybe can even push for second. And then you come back an hour later for finals, and it's like I end up 8th place. You know what I mean? So just put a bad taste in my mouth. And I've had a bad taste in my mouth for probably a year or two prior to that with, you know, the IFBB, you know, so I can talk shit now. You know, I'm retired. I'm never going to step on stage again. You know, but a lot of it is politics, you know, and after so many shows, it's just like, is this really worth it anymore? You know, doing all the drugs, you know, especially contest time. You know, contest time, you're using a variety of drugs for shows. And it's just like, why put all that hard work in and you're basically just not being looked at on stage, you know? Yeah. And so that's what it's after 2016, you know, I walked away. I was done. And then for some odd reason, I decided, you know, I'm going to do another show. It was like 10 weeks out from some show in June 2017. Did it. And mentally, I just wasn't there. Physically, I trained, but I wasn't training to, you know, be my best, you know, training hard in the gym. I was basically going through the motions just to do another show. And it was probably, you know, that's definitely something I regret doing. After that, I just walked away. You know, I was like, you know what? I got to focus on, you know, my kids, you know, where I had one at that time. And then, you know, my company, because my company was, you know, my company launched in 2016. So I was in the beginning stages of, you know, building my brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously looking long-term, you know, we can't compete forever, you know, I mean, unless you're Dexter Jackson, you know, he's almost like 70,
yeah.
But 99.9% of us, I mean, you just can't do it. I mean, you're either going to die from the drugs or, you know, just really fuck yourself up, you know, going that long, you know, with drugs, competing, you know, for years and years and years and years. So I walked away. You know, I had my firstborn, I launched my brand in 2016, and all my priorities just simply changed. You know, all that energy I put in competing for 14 years, competed straight, multiple shows, 14 years straight. All that energy now went into, you know, my raising my kids and, you know, my building my brand.
Yeah. And like you said, and being much more healthier now too. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but I love all the pros that have gone on to become successful business wise. I mean, like, you know, yourself, Jay, Ronnie, Labrada, Gaspari, Seth, like guys that are kind of stepping away, like you said, and putting their passion into a business, whether it's supplement or apparel or whatever it is. It's like, I love seeing like some of these guys are pretty smart businessmen, and it wasn't just like bodybuilding. Now they're done. Now you guys have nothing to do. There's several of you guys that have become very successful outside of that, which is, you've turned it into a completely different business to be successful, which is, and those type of businesses will run way longer than a bodybuilding career could do. And obviously, like we said, much safer, and you're going to make way more money than bodybuilding.
Right. Exactly.
Half the bodybuilders are broke. So,
and you know, yeah, I mean, and that's true. That's the cold hard truth. I mean, if you're a bodybuilder, you know, you aren't going to be making a lot of money unless you are becoming into the sun's great. You know, you're not going to be making big bucks unless you are placing, you know, in the top 5 in the Olympia consecutively, year after year, winning top 3 or winning the Arnold Classic, you know, winning big shows.
Yeah.
And even if you win all that, that money is only going to, you know, show winnings are only going to go so far because you spent so much money getting ready, traveling, and with sponsors. I mean, due to social media, I mean, companies don't need to pay 6-figure, 7-figure contracts to bodybuilders anymore because they don't need us because of social media.
Yeah, the contracts like what you guys used to get back like in the Muscle Tech days or muscular development. I mean, you guys are getting $100,000 contracts and stuff like that.
Exactly. We were definitely the last brig of bodybuilders in the industry to be getting, you know, really good money, you know, basically on the back end of things, you know, tail end of things. And when that ended, you know, I saw, and when I was let go from Optimum after 2 years, that they got rid of me, they got rid of like all their bodybuilders, and they started bringing on, I think it was Bikini at that time. And then they just brought on a bunch of girls because they can just give them product and they don't have to give them a salary. You know, me, they're 6 figures. I'm flying all over the fucking world, which they're paying. Yeah. And then limited product, you know, whatever I wanted. So, yeah, I mean, we can get to another question because I can tell you how and when it started, where I got the idea.
Well, next question I had was, I guess it would be I think this might be the last one, was just, of course, like I said, some of the best calves in the game. So, Houston 88 wanted to know, what are your go-to exercises to grow your calves? Obviously, you have great genetics too, but your calves are absolutely insane. So I'm sure a lot of people want to know a good routine or whatever, you know, to help grow calves.
Yeah, what I've learned, I mean, yeah, genetically, I'm blessed with calves. I'm blessed with ham hocks, you know. But for me, I've always trained calves 3 times per week. And my theory behind that is, you know, I don't know if it's scientifically proven, you know, but
bro science. It still works.
We use our calves for everything we do. We're walking, we're getting up, we use our calves for everything. So I think when you're training calves once a week, it's just not enough, especially for growth, because they're so used to being worked every single day. So that's where I feel training them, you know, 3 times per week, you know, rotate with abs, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do abs in between those other days, is train them heavy. You know, they need to be trained heavy, explosive, because of the muscle fibers in the calves. and do, 8 to 10 sets Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you're talking, 24 to 30 sets a week calves, anywhere from 8 to 12 reps. And I think that's the magic number for anyone trying to improve their calves. Obviously, stretch your calves and stuff like that, but training them 3 times a week, heavyweight, explosive reps, I think that is key. And I've seen it with a lot of people that lag in calves that do this routine. They see improvements. Now, do they get 20-inch plus calves like me? No, but they improve their calves.
And heavy too, I'm sure, is very important too, because like you said, we're carrying around our body weight every day and like walking all day. So like you said, you probably I'm assuming go a lot heavier. What about, you want to touch on full like stretch and contraction? Because I mean, sometimes you see people in the gym like doing calf raises and they're moving like an inch. I mean, yeah. When you do calves, do you do a full like stretch all the way down and then explosive tight contraction?
That's what's funny. No, I do not stretch all the way down. I never have.
Okay.
I go down almost slightly below parallel.
Okay.
And the stress on the calf muscle, and then I explode up and then repeat it for 8 to 12 reps. The only time I really stretch is at the end of my entire workout. I'll stretch each calf for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'll position, put my foot up on the wall or whatever, just to stretch the calf out, and I'll do each calf for at least like probably 3 to 5 minutes each calf to stretch out. Okay. And then that's it. I do that 3 times a week, and then I've been doing that routine literally since I was a teenager.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. Even myself, I don't do calves. I don't do that much, so that's something for me to do as well. To definitely.
Well, you started hitting legs twice a week now, right?
Yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah, from what you told me to split. My work, I gotta get. I'm just obviously I was out of town for like 4 days, so my split's all jacked up. But I'm getting back into it today. I just lifted and did chest actually, but that's it. Really, I think we hit 5 questions. Do you have anything else to add? Or not? I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the 5 questions. And if I was going to add anything, it would be about, when I left Optimum in 2000, when they fired me and let me go. After that that's basically when Like a Pro actually really started.
Okay.
I'm not know that, so I figured, I've mentioned it on here. So in 2012, I came out with a training app called Like a Pro, and you can actually still get it on Apple. There's a free, and there's another version. It's like $1.99, but it's all my workouts from 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I haven't updated it. It may not even work anymore, but yeah, Like a Pro training app. The free version is probably still up, but it's just a list of a ton of workouts that I used to do back in the day from that year. And that's when I had the idea to actually start Like a Pro supplements. People ask me, oh, how'd you come up with Like a Pro supplements? Well, I had a training app, for one of the first of its kind, because nobody had training apps.
Yeah.
2012. I had Like a Pro, catchy name, cool. Sound like a Pro supplements. So the reason why I didn't move forward with Like supplements is the fact that that's when Gaspari, Optimum, obviously I was with them, Muscle Tech. I mean, these companies, they're hundreds of millions of dollar companies. And I'm like, how am I even going to be able to break into the industry? It's like, I'm kind of a new name in the bodybuilding industry, just turning pro and stuff like that. I'm like, I'll get swallowed up, I'll invest, develop something. But I said, there's no way I'll be able to do this and compete against those companies.
Yeah.
So I put that at the time, that dumb idea on the back burner. I said, I just forgot about it.
Yeah.
And I ended up moving on. I went a few years. I wasn't with anybody, and hooked up with Olymp Sport Nutrition in Europe, Poland. So after I had a 3-year contract, hefty contract. So they did they paid well. But after about 6 months, I just said to myself, when I left FIBO that year with them, I was just like, told my wife, I said, I'm done making other people money. I said, I can't go around promoting stuff that I really don't use. So yeah, I use their protein, use their aminos, but I don't use all this other shit that they have. So for me, it's just being fake. You know what I mean? And I'm not a fake person. So that's why after it was like 5 or 6 months into a 3-year contract, I got myself out of it, walked away, broke out all my old notes of like a pro supplements, pre-workouts, ingredients at that time. And then obviously all the new scientific data that came out, new ingredients that arise over those 3 years. And I just started building formulas again, started ordering raw powders and just building formulas again. And I spent a year, probably a little over a year doing that and building my first 5-year plan at that time. And then mid 2016 is when I finally launched Like a Pro with my first product.
What was the first product? Was it the Pump and Focus?
Focus, yeah. The original formula.
Yeah. But that's, yeah. So like a pre-workout basically is what you started with.
Yep. And that was 150 units. That was it.
Yeah.
Now I'm my last order was like 10,000. Yeah. It's crazy. And the cool thing is we have time, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. And the cool thing is about building the brand is that I've done it myself, and everything that I build and create, I create for myself. I don't have a high stim pre-workout. I don't personally like stims.
Yeah.
Can I fucking wicked high stim pre-workout? Absolutely. Will it sell? Yeah, it'll sell. But I don't use it. So I can't promote something that I don't personally use. So that's why everything I formulate for a specific reason, which is for me. I just got done developing and I'm launching my prostate immune formula in next month. I'm 37. I got to, I want to start taking care, taking care of that part of myself, So I'm like, you know what? I have complete health. I have omegas. I had my joint formula. Now I need a prostate formula.
Mm-hmm.
So everything I do it for a reason, and that reason is for myself. And then I mass produce it and I sell it.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I know that too, just knowing you. And then for those guys, for anybody listening again, follow Jeff on Instagram. His Instagram is at IFBB long, always putting out good content in his story. You literally answer questions every single day, basically, right? About 7 days a week, usually.
Yeah, I do the Q&A every single day.
So he's literally answers questions all 7 days a week, pretty much. And very straightforward, no bullshit stuff. So definitely follow him. But touching on that, I know, because I've seen even people, just from knowing you, but I've seen several people ask you, why don't you come out with this? Or why don't you come out with this? And I've seen you give that answer like, well, I don't use that. So just, I'm backing up what you're saying is like, you like to put out stuff that you actually use and formulate it to what you like and put good formulas together, good ingredients, is the right dosages and stuff like that. But I like that because you're not, there's tons of money to be made in this industry, as we know, but I guess your values and morals and standards are so high that you're not just trying to put out like shit products to try to sell and make money. You're literally only creating products that you want to use yourself, which is kind of like unheard of in this industry, really, because most people are really just out there trying to make money. So
I thought I went out. Can you still hear me?
Oh yeah, you're good. You're good.
And that's another reason, like, people will DM me and I get tons of DMs. It's like, everyone knows I do TRT, right?
Yeah.
So I'll probably do TRT forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel really good. My S levels naturally are on the lower end. So I'll do TRT probably forever, unless I decide to try to come off and do all that stuff. But, people ask me why you need to come out with a testosterone booster. And I'm like, I use TRT.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use it. So if I don't come out with a test booster, I don't like high stims. I'm not going to come out with a high stim product, So, and in terms of, like, say, isolate flavors, protein flavors, I get a lot of DMs. Oh man, you need to come out with like a fruity pebble cereal. I'm like, yeah, 50 other companies have fruity pebbles. I said, I'm not big. I don't like fruity pebble isolate. I don't like that type of, taste for protein.
Yeah.
I don't even like fruity pebble cereal,
Yeah.
I pick flavors that I like for myself, that I'm going to drink for myself. I'm not going to come out with a flavor that, oh man, this is going to sell really good, but I don't really drink it because I don't like the flavor. So just like,
because then you're never using it yourself. Yeah. It's like,
exactly. And there are a lot of CEOs, a lot of owners who are like that. They just mass produce. I mean, a lot of CEOs, they don't even have any involvement in formulation. They have a whole team formulating, and it's just like, all right, your pre-workout's done, sir. When do you want to have it, start, selling it stuff, and they do their timelines and then they sell it. They don't even know what the fuck they're selling.
Yeah.
For me, I can't do that. I'm just not wired that way, so everything I make for a reason. Everything I make flavor wise, I do for myself. If I don't like a flavor, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. That's good.
And I think that's how it should be.
Yeah, no. And that's why I like, I've got, I think, some people say like, oh, all these bodybuilders now are starting supplement companies, but to me, I think the opposite. It's like, I gravitate towards, I would rather use a supplement from a former bodybuilder just for that reason. Like, I don't want a guy that, like, some CEO or owner that doesn't even work out, that, like you said, just wants to make money and doesn't know half the shit he's selling. I'd rather have somebody, like a Jay Cutler or you or Seth or somebody that's in the thick of it, that's been on the other side on the pro bodybuilding stage, and then is now trying to make good products to like put out there or whatever, so I'm kind of the opposite mindset, where it's like, I'd rather buy from people like you instead of just some random company who you have no idea who even owns it or what they're doing or whatever. So
exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Cool, man. I guess that's it. I will, thanks again for coming on, and I'll text you later. I'll find out about when you're coming down here and all that.
Okay. Yep.
We can hook up and all that. So that's it. I guess that's it. Again, to everybody, Instagram is IFBB long. Give him a follow. Tons of content, tons of information. And what'd you say?
And buy my supplements.
Yeah. And buy supplements, and you might be able to grow some calves. So
yeah, there we go.
But all right, brother. Thanks so much for coming on. I'll talk to you later.
All right, my man. Peace, guys.
Yeah.